Nicole. I'm here again today for Thermoweb using some scraps of my Deco Foil from different projects that I've used and some of these super cool peel and stick toner sheets so that you can make the most of those scraps that you might have left over from other projects. So I'm going to grab my peel and stick toner sheets and my leftovers here. You can see I have some leftovers from another project, and there's still a lot of good stuff left here that you can use to make a tone-on-tone or two-color pattern paper essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run my scrap here of the Deco Foil over top of the peel and stick toner sheet and run it through my heated laminator. I'm going to add a little bit of a cardstock just because my piece there was ruffled a bit. And so you can see here it's come through the laminator. And I've peeled it back and there's still a black piece remaining. I'm going to do that here to the second bit of scraps that I have. And so it's going to run through, and everything there that you can see that was on my scrap is going to stick to that black toner background. But anything that's black can still have more foil attached to it. So I'm going to run it through twice, once with the first initial scrap. And then as you can see here, I'm taking the champagne color and running it over top of that teal. And then I'm going to run it through my laminator again, and I'm going to have a two-color Deco foiled beautiful piece to use on my scrapbook project. So you can see here how that black is still showing through. So I'm just going to grab some scraps of other Deco foil transfer sheets that I have. And as you can see with this one, I have now a teal and gold kind of pattern paper. So I'm going to use a bit of iridescent here with the pink that I've used, the pink melon, and then more of that aqua teal color over top of the other teal that I used, or the gold, sorry, that I used earlier. I'm going to clean up my scraps here and get all these put away back into the tube. And now I have all my pretty two-color Deco foiled sheets. So these are really thick. This toner sheets are really thick, so you can see they're very sturdy. I'm going to go ahead and I have this die cut background, and what I want to do is use those two-color toner sheets to fill in part of my background, just like I would any sort of pattern paper. So I'm going to just trim these down to fill in the background of my design. I'm going to trace this onto the back of the toner sheet because that is going to peel away anyway, and that just gives me a good template to get these cut out pretty quickly. You can run these through a digital die cutting machine, but to be honest, I didn't think of that at the time when I was working on this project. But if you had planned out this a little bit better, you could definitely run it through. So now that I've got those all cut out and traced, I'm going to cut a little bit of a template here just from the inside of that die cut design. And I just had a scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm going to peel off the backing to the toner sheet and then just stick it in place. So I'm going to hold my die cut design where I want it, and then the best part is you can just peel and stick, just like stickers. So very easy. You've made your own kind of pattern paper with the toner sheets, and the best part is they stick. You don't have to worry about adding any sort of adhesive. It's really good for something like this where you're using a digital die cut design because it kind of takes all that messy work that usually comes along with it out of the picture. So I'm just going to keep on going, trimming these down a little bit because I did cut them a little bit too large in the first place. So I'm just going to mix up all my different foiled designs throughout that background. And then I will end up filling in the rest, not the rest, but most of the design also with some pattern paper. So I don't want to overwhelm the design with using all foil, but the fact that this is tone on tone, the two colors I should say, really kind of, it makes that stand out and it makes it look just like pattern paper. You would not know which paper is a pattern paper and which is not, like which is done on the foil toner sheet. So it's really, really fun and easy and almost no waste. So I'm going to stick these down. I'm kind of trying to balance off the different colors across the design so that I don't have too many of the teal and too much of the pink and the iridescent in one area. And as you can see, this goes pretty quickly, even though, yes, I know the video is sped up. It goes pretty fast to get these into the right place where you want them. And they're super, super shiny. So I'm going to do the exact same thing now, but I'm just going to use some pattern paper here from our friends at Echo Park. And I'm just going to use that little cardstock template and trace it around some pattern paper here and just finish filling in the background of that design. I'm going to start off with one color and kind of do 2 or 3 pieces, and then I'll move on to filling in the whole rest of it with various other pattern papers from the same pattern paper pack that I have going on here. And I'm going to leave some white space because I really want some of that foil to shine through. So you can see here's where I have most of it done. Now to get that die cut background onto the base of my page, I'm actually going to use some mixed media adhesive. Just a very small amount. You can very easily run that through out of the nozzle here and just add a tiny small amount all along the edge of that digital die cut design. And then I'm going to flip it over and just put that in place over top of my pattern paper that I have. And this is really great because I don't find it warps the paper very much, and sometimes some adhesives will do that, and this one doesn't. It has a nice tacky result, and it keeps everything where it needs to be, and nothing's really wet and warping, so that's really great. And you do still have a little bit of time with the wet adhesive to add and tuck things under. You have a couple minutes before it's completely in place. So I'm just going to use some of my scraps here of my foiled pieces and just fill in some of the remaining parts of that bottom die cut design. And you can see how those pretty foiled pieces really match really nicely with the pattern paper pieces. It's almost like it was meant to be. So you could customize this any way you want with whatever scraps you have. Just change up your colors and you make your own pattern paper quite simply. So I'm again just going to fill in some of these leftover bits, and then really all there's left to do is finish off the rest of my scrapbook page. So I'm going to use these sticky ones because they have the sticky back. It makes it even less finicky work to do. Okay, so the rest of my design is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to fill in the top part of this page here with some pattern paper. I'm going to use a basic stripe just to fill in that area. And I'm going to add a little bit of machine stitching just along the edge to kind of keep that die cut design down as well as that pattern paper, just to kind of hold it in place. And I'll trim off the ends and then get to all the good stuff. So I'm going to use 3 smaller photos for my project, as well as a larger title and just a few small embellishments. The paper is all from Echo Park that I'm using. And I'm going to be using some stickers also from Echo Park and some letter stickers from American Crafts. So I'm just trimming out some of the little pieces of the pattern paper that were a little bit too large for my background there on the bottom. And at first I was going to mat some of these photos, but I ended up taking some of the paper off. I did put some 3D foam squares behind each of the photos. I really like the thickness of the foam squares, and they make them pop off the page a little bit more. So I decided not to use the pattern paper to layer behind my photos in the end. And so I'm just going to stick the photos down with the photo squares on them, just along this kind of border here between the pattern paper and that die cut background. So now that I have those in place, I'm just going to go ahead and search through my stash to find a title. And then I'm going to add a lot of these letter stickers and some of the floral stickers. And I'm going to use foam adhesive again behind these. I really want that whole top layer of the photo and everything all to be kind of popped up and present. I don't want it to get washed into that whole busy kind of background, so I'm going to use some foam adhesive to get that popped up. So I'm going to add my title, and you can see I'm just using those floral stickers to kind of fill in the gaps in and around my photo. And I'm not going to add a whole lot else to this layout, only because the bottom is pretty busy. And I really want that stuff to shine. I don't want to have a whole lot of other stuff. I want my photos to be seen on my page. And I want to leave the foil there on the bottom. It's a pretty, fancy texture on its own. So I kind of want to let that be a bit of the show. So just a few little stickers here and there. I love to add foam adhesive in behind because it makes it more like a die cut. And here you go. You can see the results of the rest of this project. I love how this foil looks with the 2 colors. Virtually no waste to your projects. All you need is that peel and stick toner sheet, and it makes it so easy and fast. Just run that through your laminator a couple times with your favorite Deco Foil, and voila, you have your own tone-on-tone 2-color project. Have yourself a great day. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial with Thermoweb. Bye-bye.